Yeah, so for the last, I'd say 10 years plus, I've had contact with, um, been contacted, through the third eye, um, with Enlil, who is Jesus, also known as Jehovah, and also ENKI, so they call him Yah, okay? And they are two brothers, and they're gods, and gods uh, create, and they also fight and get us involved in fighting. So it seems. We're looking at the world politics today, and much of these problems go back to the problems between these two um, deities, and so basically, in how God's contact, humans and each other and different beings is through the third eye, through the pineal gland, and which is right here, behind here. It's a very small size of a pea, but it's responsible. It's basically like our inner wired phone, telephone, which if we know how to use, can use it to contact and to do astral projection and many, many things. It's multifaceted, spirit world and this and that. And so I've been, in contact with both of them, and these are actually the two parts of, the ET faction, which have set up the world as we see it today, and who really run behind the scenes, run everything, and set up and give time periods, and a lot of this war is around that, and around a holy war with Christ, and basically, Enlil is as I said, the Jah Jesus Christian aspect, and ENKI is the African part, and part of the Rasta movement. The Rastafari movement is his movement, out of Africa. So this is why we see, big problems between white people and black people, and the conflict between culture, et cetera, et cetera. It's pretty clearly manifest, and yet we're not really taught how to understand it all. Even how we're taught history, because a lot of what we're taught in history is kind of skewed one way or the other. We still, unless you're seeing that, understanding where all this stuff really is coming from, then you can't really understand the kind of smokescreen that's been written into history books, and confuses people, and it makes sense as to why there is a type of fear or bitterness towards people who are Germanic or blonde hair, blue eyed, and black people as well, and they're feeling their need. And if you listen, I spent a few years. I didn't spend a few years, but a couple of times went down to Jamaica, and I was involved, with the hippie movement, and a lot of different characters from the city, New York City, for years. And so they're like they're family and friends, and the most troublesome thing is knowing that all this war is, over, it seems very kind of silly, egotistical stuff, but, it is what it is, and it is happening, and whether people choose to acknowledge it or not, it's a whole other thing. But, it saddens me to know that people, that there's a conflict between Christians and Rastas, and that not getting along, and it's like the Rastas say peace and love, and they want, but they want things done their way, and so that's a whole other issue, which we'll get into at another point. Right now I'm just going to discuss basically. the impacts that we're seeing in the world, and the moving towards world order and all this, and you see in our media and how they're controlling the media, and anybody who questions their official story, they label you a quote conspiracy theorist or something like that, and that's all nonsense, because in what democracy are you not allowed to question whatever stories you're seeing on television? I mean, to be quite honest, everything on TV, I mean, you can consider almost all of it to be, a lie or an act of some sort or another. I mean, you can see some things, but I mean, it's so easy to create and to put on screen an act, and, and then, the way that they take these different, different incidents, whether it be terrorist or whatever, and then they're saying, oh, you can't question them, or they're, like in 9/11, they, after 9/11 happened, the judges slapped a subpoena on not a subpoena, a gag order on the fire department, so they weren't allowed to speak about any of it. And it's like, well, why wouldn't they be allowed to speak? I mean, for what reason in a democracy, for one of the most terrible tragedy incidences in the country, are you going to tell the people that were there, that responded, that they can't talk to anybody about it or about what happened? I mean, to me, it's really kind of sick. And I mean, these people are in desperate need to be in control so much that they can think that they can create any type, of illusion or facade, and then they use it to basically to either invade another country or to attack somebody else or to say we have a right. And it's like, all right, anyway. But as far as I'm concerned, I consider that event was, I don't know if you ever heard the song Pink Floyd, The Division Bell, the album, but I consider that to be what was the division bell, what started the division of, and this movement of in our society towards being a group of people that are told what to think and do by television and media, and which they're not really allowed to speak or think freely. And it's very, it's very sad as someone who's grown up in our country and always believed in what our ideals are, but yet the ideals are now being used to entrap and to constrict and to take away rights and inhibit people and separate. It's like, that's why the division bell. It's like, the reality is all separation is an illusion. Even between Christians and Rastas and this and that. This is like, artificial walls have been built up. We all come from the same tribe originally. We're all Anunnaki descendants, and we all share the same great-grandfather, An, okay? And the only difference between Enlil and ENKI is basically, is that they're, they have a different mother, But basically, so we're all blood, and really, I mean, all this nonsense about who came first and blah, and I think, long ago, many of these things have been forbidden and outlawed, and yet our, world politics is playing into them, and they're, there's always great consequences for whenever there's deception, and when people use subversion to try to take control of the world and make it one way or another, and so people should be on the air of caution. And if to my different friends and people that I've, because I love, God in my heart, because He saved me when I was near death, and me calling His voice, brought me back into the world, and I really learned and saw so much, So as far as I'm concerned, I see other, if there's an attempt to put anybody really above, there's only really one true living God, and that is Jesus Christ, Jah Jehovah. He is the living Father, and without Him, there's nothing here, there's I hear people, being disrespectful and talking down and saying, but they don't really understand exactly, what's making it all happen, and the fact that He is and who He is, and they should give Him respect and just be thankful, and we all should. And even for me, and part of this video I want to say, because at times, it's very easy online to argue with people and to say things and to even be mean and hurtful. And at times, I get led into that as well. And, I got to move past that because that's all nonsense. And certainly if you are trying to achieve a mastery level of any kind, you got to realize that, putting each other down is really it was really like the lowest of low, and it's like, we got to try to move away from it, and I certainly will. And because I really don't want to play into that game. And when I've studied kung fu and different tai chi with different masters, some of the best in the world, and very talented, people, but I was disappointed because of personality conflicts I had with them, and that I think that they were. While they were, had a lot of ability or this or that they were lacking, they had different personality, character flaws, and I have my own too. So really, it's not really fair. That's part of being a human being, and but in the days to come, people should just be on their toes and realize what's going on, and realize that there's this creation of this illusion of separation, so that they can try to get people to join into their thing. And it could be some technological thing, and saying, now I see we're all going to connect through technology, or and we'll use this technology now. And and the reality is every human being on the earth is connected through the third eye pineal gland, and so all that is an illusion. And part of that is to realize the reason why they're creating all these events, to make us feel shaken up and make us scared and make us feel separate, and we're not attached and we don't understand or know God or this or that. And so that's why this stuff is happening. And because they're trying to take for themselves, they want to try to move things a certain way, and part of the destiny of things is for those things to happen. And for some people to go that way, and some people to say and rise to an even higher level of consciousness, Christ consciousness, which is pure energy and is beyond what we've known, and really that's what His plan is, and there's a lot of reading, and like I said, I've been mind linked with ENKI, and he speaks to me all the time, and he's quite a character, sometimes can be very nice, sometimes can be very strong, and some of the kind of darker aspects of things, and women and drugs and stuff that I've moved away from. And he can see, he's known as the far-sighted one, so he can see into, and the gods can see into your, and they know what's inside you, what bothers you, what fears are. And so I've learned a lot of times. I've also learned a lot. He is I consider him my uncle. So I have to put that all into perspective as well, and also the, why I was chosen to know certain things and to be, and why he's speaking to me, and because he knows that I know the Father, so he's always trying to impress me in a certain way. And he is, he's like, they compete, and he's in a competition, and he has his own beauty, but he needs to realize that as well. And so that's why, I don't want to say anything bad, and I'm not really trying to say anything bad. I'm trying to say positive things, because that's what's important. And I, like I said, so, but, he's, got issues with Enlil'S, and it's been going on for a long time, and some of it is not really fair, because he basically, like, a lot of times you hear, and basically he says, oh, God is mean and this and that, but he basically encourages people to rebel and then try to take over things, and then they wind up caught in the middle and wind up getting hurt. So you can't really blame God for defending what's His, or or standing up, because God's about the law, and He basically, when things get out of control, He's got to step in and make the law and do whatever He has to do to to bring about peace again and to restore the order. So, it's kind of like the antagonist, protagonist type thing. And, I think, there's, there's some amount of insecurity going on as well. And there's, it's like I said, this has been going on hundreds of thousands of years. And, you're talking about immortal divine beings and gods, and they, have their egos as well. And, like I said, they create, but they also fight and destroy as well, and then they recreate, and that's part of the whole process of things. So I'm posting this, and I mean the best, and I try my best to be, a loving person, and because I know that love is the most powerful thing in the world, and it's what we all need now. And so I hope you all stay strong, and you pray to Jesus for help and his guidance, because he is there listening, and he will provide it to you. And we all need to teach each other and guide each other, and stop dishing on each other, and be more loving. That's definitely would be a good start. And okay, so with that, Jehovah Shalom, Enlil'S, Nanata Karam Gal, Nibiru Karam Gal, and I'll post another video shortly, hopefully something decent, okay?